let me correct. I don't want to say that nothing has changed in the last 50 years. A lot has changed. I think, but the infrastructure that is critical to the communities that we hold dear is destroyed. And I don't know when that happened.
When you say infrastructure, you mean it as in black folks living in the communities together?
Infrastructure that supports our college network, infrastructure that supports our schools, infrastructure that supports the communities that we call the hood, the business infrastructure, all of those things, the small business infrastructure, a lot of those things are missing. 95% of black-owned businesses have 0 employees. So I would say that that's if it's living, it's on life support. Sure. And some things have to change. I don't think that we should be 98% anything. I don't believe that a party system is necessarily where our interests lie. We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies, only permanent interests. Sure. And
I'm sorry, and forgive me, guys. We're going to try to manage the conversation, get everybody. And Richard Rose, I want to come to you and kind of give you a chance to respond to what you heard here from Corey. What is your perspective, Richard, being local president of Atlanta NAACP? What's your personal perspective on that of the Democrats have not done enough for blacks? They've been someone who's hurt the infrastructure of our community. What's your response to that?
Well, a lot of several things he said were just not true. I mean, so education, for example, is public taxes. That's what I mean. The big difference between where we are now, and maybe where we were 50 years ago, is that 50 years ago it was segregated. I went to high school in a segregated school. The good thing about it is that white folks didn't care what we were doing, and we had great teachers. At my high school in Memphis, Tennessee, the majority of those teachers had advanced degrees. We had the best because they couldn't get jobs in industry. That's where our best and brightest were. That has changed. But it's not about a system, it's about changing economic conditions. All of this, everything, even about the policies, the parties is about economics. I mean, the reason Columbus was dispatched to come and invade the new land, it was about bringing back resources to the Queen. All of it is all about who controls the resources and who controls the resources that controls the resources. And that's what politics is about. Politics change. The first president I knew about was Dwight Eisenhower, a Republican, who sent troops to Little Rock to protect students who were integrating Central High, 140 miles west of where I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. So I don't, NAACP is nonpartisan. It's probably great for me because I'm nonpartisan. I truly believe in the issues, but I focus on the realities of the issues. You know, the NAACP sued Brian Kemp 5 times in the last 6 years for voter suppression. That's not idle accusation. That's a fact. And most of the time, the courts agreed that he had actually done suppressive acts through his offices. So that's a fact. The conjecture is what party is for and what party is against. And I think we look at that the wrong way. It's not what party, being black folk, it's not what party is going to do something for you. It's what party is going to do something to you. And that's where we are in America right now.
Mr. Turner, I want to come to you because you talked a little bit about education, but I also want you to address something that a lot of black folks believe that integration in some ways has hurt the African American community. What's your response to that?
I don't think there's a simple answer to that. I think many African Americans have become assimilated. They marry outside of their race. They spend money outside of their race. They try to look like other races. And then I think that we have African Americans who are, I guess you would call them black nationalists. But I do believe that we have extremes. And I think we're going to be hustled on those extremes by both parties. It's marketing for power. And money controls markets. In the election here in Georgia, we know that it's not over. There's a national push now to bring African Americans, the LGBTQ community, folk who are Latinos, progressive Jewish women, different facets together, under and focused upon just particular issues. And those issues may have merit, but they are narrowly focused. And on the other side, you have some other extremes.
Mm-hmm. So, Tamara, you haven't been previously ran for public office as a Democrat. You've experienced some of what you talked about in different communities that obviously to win as a Democrat, it's got to be a coalition, right? It can't just be white men and their wives. You're going to have to work with everybody, right? Talk to us a little bit about the experience that Ms. Turner just spoke of that integration and the pros and the cons that you experienced during your time within the Democratic Party.
Well, I ran again in 2014, 2016, and 2018. So when I ran in 2014, I came out of the gate as a no-name candidate, not a whole lot of money, but I absolutely had support from the unions and AF and her union as well. And I can just tell you that, 2014 was, a learning experience. 2016, I felt like I had my footings. I made more progress. I got 37% the first time, 43.8% in 2016. 2018, after Donald Trump is now our president, race played a huge issue in my race. There was a white woman that decided to run against me, who was previously going to run in another race. And when she got into the race against me, because our district was predominantly white, they saw her as more electable. And when you would think that Democrats would stay out of a primary, when you have two Democrats that are vying for the same position, you would think that they would stay out of the primary. They didn't. They actually took sides, and they took her side because she was more electable because of the demographics of the district. And the district was predominantly white. So she won the primary. She beat me 2-1 because she was able to garner those white votes. She didn't need black and brown votes in the primary. She didn't need those votes. She just needed enough white votes to beat me, and she did successfully. But getting to the primary with Stacey Abrams at the top of the ticket, she rode that coattail, and I think a lot of what I saw was a lot of Democrats that rode that coattail. They rode the fact that we don't have to white politicians, and black ones too. I saw some black ones that did the exact same thing. They didn't have to get out and vie for those black votes. They didn't have to get out and make promises, because we go to the ballot as black and brown people and we vote straight Democratic, as you just said. We just vote down the ticket. I know a lot of people who didn't even know half the candidates on the ticket. They just voted Democratic, as you said, because my mama voted Democratic, my grandma voted Democrat, so I'm going to vote Democrat too. And I think we as a people need to get beyond voting for black and brown people just because they're black and brown. We need to vote our interests.
Let me interject something there, because I hear that also as a talking point. How much of a percentage do we believe that most people vote straight down ticket? White folks vote straight down ticket as well.
And they vote for white folk.
Right. So I guess my challenge there, or my pushback a little bit there, is that we know that probably, and this is not a stat this is a stat I'm pulling off the top of my head, but I would venture a guess that 80% of the people who go to the polls don't really know the issues. They vote in a popularity contest, right? And so if we and I want to bring Eldridge, I want to come to you on this because you're out in these streets. Mm-hmm. When you look at it from that perspective, when you're making a decision, okay, yes, black folks vote straight down ticket. Black folks need to make sure that we shouldn't be voting 98% for nobody. But our opponent to black life, whether it's black, whether Democrat or Republican, that they're doing the same thing. Right. And so from your perspective, how do you get the balance of pushing the candidates to do what is best for our community, but also positioning us to win, to have somebody of influence in the position?
All right, so first of all, I want to speak to when you said they're doing the same thing. I think the difference between when black people vote down the ballot and white people vote down the ballot, as a white person, I can confidently go down the ballot knowing that anyone that is put in that position is going to go for my interests. As a white person, we can. As black people, we can't necessarily do that. Now, being a millennial at this table, our generation has honestly never witnessed a politician that has came in our favor and really did show us that they care about black people. For real, for real. Like, we've never witnessed the power of a Maynard Jackson. We've heard about Maynard Jackson. We heard the legends. We've seen the millionaires that were made from that generation, but we've never seen that. And then we also hear the narrative that, okay, if they don't do right, we're going to hold them accountable. We don't even know what that looks like. We've never seen that.
Never seen the Jose Williams.
We've never seen a Hosea Williams. So we have a generation where we're coming in hearing these legends of what politics is supposed to do. And I've had the opportunity of walking with living giants, with living legends, and because I'm hungry for it, I want it. But most of my generation, a lot of this just looks like talk. It looks like talk. What does it really do? I'm going to vote for somebody, and then what? So as it pertains to what have you done for black people, we're talking about a black initiative.
So let me, and Baby D, I want to come to you because I want to come to you next. But as something else I hear a lot, and when you guys will hear me say that a lot. There's a lot of stuff that we say rhetorically in our black community that we repeat, right? We talk about we don't have a black agenda. We talk about we don't know what is it that we want?
Access to opportunity.
Access to opportunity. Go ahead.
To a seat at the table. Government grants, government contracts, board appointments, job creation, wealth creation, institutions being built. The bottom line is finance. And if you don't have access, if you can't pick up the phone and call the governor and say, hey, I started this nonprofit and we need $5 million in grants for our STEM and STEAM programs. So if you can't pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm in food service and I want to provide meals for prisons and school systems. Or if you can't pick up the phone and say, hey, my kids just graduated with a master's and we want to get a good job or get a board appointment, you locked out of decisions and opportunities that will allow you to build legacy. So I think what's important is
how do you achieve that access? And from your eyes, because obviously they say the political process is how we achieve access, right? We get people in positions that we can go about influence and tell them, this is what we want you to do. Here's our agenda. And if you don't believe me, go look at ALEC, right? We know that, these are organizations that they go forward to these politicians and say, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. Right. I think part of the reason why this organization, JEEPAC, has been formed because economics is the key. Mm-hmm. When you start talking about developing businesses and start developing, then you get that level of access through power. I'm gonna brother, I want you to jump in, Eldridge and Baby D. I want to come to you after that. Get ready.
Yeah, and to speak to that, I think and again, I'm gonna speak from a very strong millennial standpoint. Like to even have the education of what that access is. Like I can't ask for something that I don't even know that is available for me. So I remember. Well, I don't remember, but in research, SCLC used to do the CEP program, Citizen Education Program. And literally, they just broke down, this is what you need to know to be a citizen here in America, how the basic government work, how the laws work. Where is that program at now? Why don't we have it around? Why are we not being educated? And one thing I hate...
Is that not civics class?
Everybody's not teaching civics, though.
Like, that's
and that's a problem.
This is my point. Right? This is my point. It was a thing where SCLC, they took the initiative, and it was being done in our community for ourselves. We can't expect our oppressor to teach you how to not be oppressed.
There's a lot of wisdom in that. Baby D, I want to come to you in reference, obviously you member of the hip-hop community. You've been involved. You've spent a little bit of time behind bars, but talk to us about what the streets are saying. When this was all going down, as all us super educated folks in these shirts and ties and all this stuff, we weren't about, and we going to Morehouse and going out there and want to see Barack Obama. What were the streets talking about?
Well, mainly, the streets, when the whole thing was going on with the Kemp and the Abram thing, it was more about that people were more ready to vote for Abram because of, she gonna legalize marijuana. That's what it was. That was the main focus. It wasn't about helping out the community, going to put schools up here, put schools there.